Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely and I'm here with David Brown, henceforth to be referred to as Brownie, the most adorable name in the history of Gus Frisbee, I think. And we are here in Calumet, Michigan for the IFT, the oldest running flying disc tournament in the sport. Is it 67 or 76 years?
It is 67th IFT this weekend.
Right, and I knew that. I'm the one who said 76 years earlier. And 67th annual IFT, and it is a guts tournament. It's a guts frisbee tournament, and we are here at the International Frisbee and USA Guts Hall of Fame, and we're going to talk briefly about the sport of guts. And David's going to give us, Brownie is going to give us a little tour of the museum and show you one of the things you could expect to see if you come up here to check out the IFT. So, real quick.
So, welcome to the hall. It's in the Calumet Ice Arena, and I really want to have a shout out to Dennis Wally Wallakainen. He was the one who's instrumental to allow for all of these great things to be in a brick and mortar location. So hard to find a location to actually have all this, and we thank Calumet Township for allowing this. And there's so many good things we'd want to go through, right?
Yeah, for sure. So how about if I give a quick introduction of the game of guts, but the history of guts is way outside of my expertise. So the short of it is 2 teams, 5 players, although it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. But here, 2 teams of 5 players stand 45 feet apart from each other and throw light plastic frisbees back and forth effectively as hard as they can with as much movement as they can, trying to prevent the other team from catching the frisbee. If they catch the frisbee, you score no points. If they do not catch it, which needs to be one hand, either caught clean or knocked up into the air and someone else catches it clean with one hand. If they catch it, no points are scored. If they don't, you score a point. If you don't throw within range of their hands, you'll lose a point, and they get to throw back at you.
Yeah, and another key point is you will look at who you think you can score on and you can catch back. So that person is typically the target, and if it hits their hand and your team doesn't catch it, that person is required to throw back. Yeah. So that's one of the strategies.
And I am getting to play for a legendary team called the Boomtown Saints. They invited me to play with them. You guys know I got really good throws, right? But as a defensive player, I will be the weakest link on their team. Fair to say. Come on, you
You've got a great game, and you throw really fast.
But if they attack me and I touch that disc first, I'm also throwing back at them. So they have to decide, is it worth taking on the old guy, knowing that I'm throwing heat back at them? We'll see what their strategy is on Sunday. But anyways, let's hear about the museum.
So there's been a number of people inducted to the Hall of Fame, but really I think the first group we should really speak to is there is a group of 10 people who were inducted. It's actually more than 10 because the Healy brothers were all inducted all at once. We won't spend a lot of time on all of the specifics of each player, but let's look at some of the famous names that you should be aware of. Fred Morrison, the Healy brothers.
Well, actually, I think we can talk briefly about each one.
Okay.
Fred Morrison, he invented the catalytic converter, or what was it that he invented?
The Frisbee.
Oh, okay, the inventor of the Frisbee, kind of important. The Healy brothers.
The Healy brothers were basically the people who started the International Frisbee Tournament and the sport because of their picnics up in the local Eagle Harbor area.
Yes, and the game evolved into the International Frisbee Tournament. It went from a game where you were required, Rule 69B, to hold a beer in one hand, to a game where you wouldn't want to hold a beer because it was more important that you win the game. And that is what evolved into the sport. It went from the game of guts to the sport of guts, probably that day. And then this person here named Steady
Edward.
Oh, Edward Hedrick. The golf community knows Ed. May I jump in on the piece? So Ed Hedrick, as you all know, patented the pole hole, but he was the head of sports promotion at Whammo for many years, and as such, he was promoting flying disc sports before people started to specialize. So he was instrumental in promoting guts in the early days as well. Stancil Johnson. So Stancil Johnson, I would say, well, he's an author, an early promoter, and let's just say this. When a ball dreams, it dreams that it's a Frisbee. That's what I think Stancil should be remembered for. That is the Stancil Johnson quintessential line.
And the person next to him is Goldie Norton, and he is a publicist that promoted the sports and Frisbee itself. But we have 5 other ones down here we should go see.
By the way, every single thing you see here is this incredible part of our sports history, guys. I'm mind blown at like the work and the effort and honestly, we would probably want to thank probably at least 100 different people probably had to donate something for this to come together.
Absolutely, but we don't have time to thank everyone, but thank you.
Thank you.
And the next person is John Davis. John Davis took over the tournament director responsibilities after the Healy's. He was the owner of Library Bar and was a jolly fellow and just a great promoter and supporter of the sport. So certainly glad to have him on there. Sky King Richardson's one of the original players. He was a pilot and was a strong competitor. In fact, his son still plays to this day. And Victor Malafante.
Oh, well, Victor Malafante, PDJ number 2. By the way, Brownie said, he goes, you know, some of these people, they don't want to just hear me talk the whole time. He goes, how about if I throw the names to the people you knew well? So Victor would be one of those. PDJ number 2, he is the person, along with some players like Ken Westerfield, would be considered the greatest sidearm of all time. As a competitor, I think it's me. But I'm part of the sidearm lineage that got passed on from people like Victor and Ken to people like me, and then on to Eagle McMahon and others. So anyways, Victor Malafante, obviously, back in those days, was a hell of a guts player too, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. And we both know Stork very well. We thank Stork for everything he's ever done for Frisbee sports as a whole. And he also serves on our induction guts committee to allow all these other people to be inducted into the hall.
Yeah, and Dan was second in command for a while, working underneath Ed Hedrick in sports promotion at WAMO. And when Ed left to form DGA, Dan Roddick took over the role of sports promotion at WAMO. And I, in my opinion, was the greatest promoter in the history of flying disc sports, which includes disc golf, where we all came from. So Dan is my hero.
Is he PDJ number 3?
PDJ number 3.
And then Joe Cahill, who is legendary as far as the Humble team out of University of Michigan tournaments.
PDJ number 4, by the way.
So we thank her. And then Mr. Kirkland.
Oh, Mr. Kirkland, who invented every single thing that has ever happened in Frisbee. And the reason I know this is he told me so. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's fair. And
Yeah.
I think maybe we go back here and we look at some of the other inductees. The Healy brothers is Jake, and a great story with that because it is right adjacent to Ed Hedrick picture, Ed Hedrick's patented design of the Frisbee. But the Healy brothers were really the beginning of the sport. And they didn't mind poking at Ed as the WAMO guy. And so they would send letters to him saying, come compete, come compete. Well, unfortunately, he listened to them and he sent the Foothills team to compete. And the Foothills ended up taking over and winning the tournament. So, of course, Ed made sure to rub that in the face.
Well, so you got to keep in mind, this is obviously, you're talking about like the 60s. This is pre-internet, but it was also pre like international tournaments. So you had people in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan that thought they invented all this stuff and were the best. And there's people in Rochester that thought they were the best. And then there's people in Rutgers that thought they were the best. And there's people in Austin that thought they were the best. And people in Southern California who thought they were the best. But the people in Northern California would argue that they were the best. Like nobody knew. And everybody was inventing this incredible, like all these incredible sports and all these incredible throws, doing stuff, by the way, with Frisbees that no modern disc golfer can do because we played disc golf, they played Frisbee. And so they were masters at their craft, but nobody knew who was better and the rivalries were heated.
And they did find out very quick the differences between the Michigan team and the California team, because it was more of a shot underarm, like a softball throw back in the day.
Back in Michigan, that's how they threw.
And now they've brought in some very great players,
Al Bonapane. Albie.
And people with really strong backhands. And so the Healy's have shared, Boots Healy has shared, they throw smoke.
Well, so keep in mind, this is like, it was not a given that this is how you threw Frisbee. Okay, there were pockets in the world where this is how they threw. And you had to put a lot of spin on these early Frisbees. So this put a lot of spin, which also slowed the speed down, which made it fly well. Like literally there was a time when that was being debated. In our lifetime, in my lifetime, probably not yours because everyone's younger than me, but in my lifetime, that was being debated.
And it was interesting, the tournaments then, they were not just guts, it was what do we do with this Frisbee contraption? And so they also had accuracy, and they also had distance contests with this 110-gram disc. You'll see IFA Jersey, and that's one of the foothill teams with that. We should probably move a little bit faster.
Keep moving down.
With this. Certainly something that was very important for Guts Frisbee and Frisbee sports as a whole is the World Frisbee Championships of 1975 at the Rose Bowl. It was a very monumental time for disc sports. We know a lot of people collectively who actually played in that.
Yes, we did.
Some of the Hall of Famers, and we might not have time to go through all the specifics, but John Connolly and Jim Palmieri are two of the people inducted in the Hall of Fame. Bob Hansen, Johnny Hodges of the Library Bar team, and you want to speak to this?
Oh, well, Erwin and Jens Velasquez, if you had a Mount Rushmore of freestyle Frisbee, they would be the first face on it. And they actually could be two of the first four faces, but if we put them as one, because they were called the Velasquez brothers, they always competed together, that opens up a spot for another person. So I put them on together as number one.
And we're honored 10 years ago, they did come to the IFT and they put on exhibition for freestyle. And so they're part of our extended family. Joe Youngman also was at the Rose Bowl.
One of the greatest distance throwers of all time.
Yes. Ron Arndt from Motor City, and you can see Motor City jacket up here. Johnny the Hair Bogosky. Cupola is one of the greatest Guts Frisbee teams of all time. You will see them on the IFT Julius Nakasel trophy many, many times. Hare had a forehand shot, and he would launch himself to the ground as he's throwing because he learned it goes a lot faster. Other people have tried that, like me. I land on my elbow, and I had a big softball at the end of the tournament. Well, he's smart enough, he throws and moves his body, but he is a well-acclaimed Hall of Fame.
And let's pause for a second. If you are interested in playing Guts, I'm going to be posting all about the IFT over the next 4 days on my Facebook page and YouTube channel. But if you want to try Guts, okay, you don't need 10 people. You don't even need 5-on-5. I think get 4 or 6 friends together. Contact USA Guts. They'll make sure you have the equipment, all the rules, everything you need to get started. Let's keep this sport going, guys. Guts is one of the funnest games there is, and give it a try. Hey, come on, guys. Think outside the box. It's not just about disc golf and ultimate. There's other Frisbee sports out there.
It is an extreme disc sport, and fans love it. So if you're not able to play, show up, and I think you'll get hooked.
Yeah.
So Buck Buchanan from the Queen City team from my hometown of Marquette, instrumental in promoting and playing, and is one of the grandfathers of the sport of Guts Frisbee. Nancy Demmer, Dave Young, his nickname's Schmave, and one of the fastest backhands. You do not want to stand in front of his shot, and he's been a champion for many, many years. George Anderson, a local from this area, and his nickname is Thor because everyone back in the day used to have a nickname. It's a UP thing, but it's also, as Sky King tells us, is back in the day when Frisbee sports were first started, some people had professional jobs as an attorney, et cetera, and they might not have really wanted to be connected with that. And
That's
so everyone
not
has a nickname.
untrue. No, this is 100% true. Early Frisbee players were misfits to a large extent because it was before a time when, alternative sports were a thing where like, oh, you could be an attorney and then snowboard or something, or you could be a doctor and a surfer. Back then, you weren't part of the status quo if you weren't clean cut, clean shaven, playing one of the 4 or 5 accepted professional sports. Like you were on the outside, but that's what made us a family, is that the one thing we had in common is that nobody in the world understood us except each other.
The counterculture.
Absolutely.
Bill Bukowski continues to play to this date. Fantastic. They called him the Train, and he was someone with just his energy that would turn his team and the game around. He's definitely someone you would want to be on your team. Dave Bradshaw of the Highland Avenue Aces, one of the earlier teams that he came up, and he was instrumental in the rebirth of Guts Frisbee at the 47th, which was a real strong promotion effort by him and others to grow the sport again. So we thank Dave for that. Billy Hodges, another star for Library Bar, and they were one of the top teams in the era, really in the 70s. Gerard Newman, Toots, a Cupola Bandit, another champion. Tom Fields still plays disc golf competitively at this time, and he's also one of the original Foothills. So many of us know Tom, and he continues to impress. Motor City, Gary Sigloski, one of these studs of Guts Frisbee. I remember growing up in Marquette and just watching him as a sophomore in high school go down this street, starstruck on how great this guy was. Jimmy Dinser is another Cupola star that could turn around the game. He was known for his fiery fist pump and kicking dirt at you after he scored on you. And he would work really hard at rattling your cage.
Guts not only allows, but it embraces trash talking and we'll call it friendly banter, even though it's maybe not so friendly at the time. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is very fair. But you know what? It's also humorous. The jokes that are going back and forth and that banter gets the crowd excited, and it's one of the reasons we continue to play Guts.
I'll give you something we're going to be doing. So, like that they do at Guts. There's a long-standing tradition in Guts that if you knock someone's hat off,
it's yours.
You get to keep the hat. So I will be stapling a $100 bill to my hat for the duration of the tournament. Fair?
Fair enough, and I look forward to earning that $100.
Because I want people to throw my head, because I want to soak you, and I want to throw back.
And that is one of the things with Guts Frisbee is taunting the opposition so they do shoot at you. And I think that's a perfect example. If you have a $100 bill on, they may shoot you a little bit more often. They won't stay away from you. So yes. Good strategy. Green Man, Keith Moore, I played Guts with him in Japan at one of the tournaments that you're about to go to. One of the best female Guts Frisbee players of all time, Mary Callahan Hartz, is included in the hall. I think she's one of 2 or more female Guts Frisbee players in the hall. Toledo Joe Welch it has been someone who played with the lightweights, and the lightweights were a super competitive team for many, many years. Alan Blake is one of the Highland Avenue Aces team that came up and competed. A lot of these guys are from the Chicago area, along with John Connolly. I stand corrected, Kristen Hamill. So we're up to 3 females in the Hall of Fame. Very competitive. Just when she was inducted, she ended up having all of these photos, black and white photos. Most of them she wasn't in, but she posted her picture, her face over all of these different ones. So the most hysterical collage of photos at any induction ceremony ever. She's fantastic. Big fan of hers. Steve Trauger. Steve Trauger's a Beer City guy, and after I guess probably in the late 70s into the 80s, Beer City and Queen City, Buck Buchanan's team, were very competitive against each other, back and forth, and he had a very strong forehand. He actually was on this Blame the Dog team, so I have shot with him before.
Do you know Steve and I have history?
I do, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I got to play Guts Frisbee on ESPN back in 1998. It was actually called ESPN2. We didn't quite make it to ESPN, right? And of course, I wasn't really a Guts player. I was a disc golfer, but I had the world record for both the fastest throw and the world record for the longest throw, the back end Guinness record. And so Steve wanted to set the record for the world's fastest catch. And so ESPN2 came out and we set up and I threw at him and we were 90, it was 90 plus miles an hour, but we never did get a catch. And it's not Steve's fault. I didn't throw that well, so that's mostly my fault. But also ESPN2 basically came and said, we have 7 minutes. And we're like, wait, it's going to take longer than that to get a catch. You have 6.5 minutes. And so we took a shot. It was between rounds of a tournament, but we didn't actually set the record. But we did play Guts on ESPN.
And credit to you, Scott, as far as Steve Trauger's skills. He's one of the best defenders in the sport, so that he wasn't able to catch you over a 7-minute period.
Yeah. Well, he did catch my in practice. He caught my throws, so it's not like he couldn't catch it, but it needed to be ear to ear and flat. And I recall that I didn't give him any good throws. I'm not being humble. Trust me, if I had thrown him here and he couldn't catch, I'd be telling you all about it. But I do think this one was fine.
And now the sport had moved to Albuquerque, so we do have tournaments in Albuquerque. Fantastic. There's some of the best hosts at their Albuquerque tournament, and he's the granddaddy for that area. He helped promote Guts and move it out of the Midwest to Albuquerque. So thank you, Pat Dexter. Julie Thompson. Julie Thompson was married to Raleigh, and she also helped with the Guts Players Association. She would stand on the line with the men, and she was every bit as good as her competition. So another female that's in the Hall of Fame, and glad to have her. Great person too. Mark Benhart, tell us a story of how you ended up here.
Well, no, I don't know if Mark was a part of. So Mark created the Boomtown Saints, the legendary team that I'm going to get to be competing with at this tournament. It was him, I believe. It was Ryan and his son.
And Will Walden
created the team, and I'm getting to jump in. Not just I've become friends with Mark because he's come out to a couple disc golf tournaments and walked around while I've been competing on the disc golf pro tours. He's become a friend of mine.
And he started the Boomtown team. Well, he had a head start because I think 4 of his kids and Ryan Scott were on the team. So fantastic competition.
So it's like Guts' version of nepotism, except they were all really, really good. So they earned their spots.
And then Dwayne Harrelson, a local player. He played on Paul's Bar, a number of other teams, teammate of mine. Wally and him were best friends. He actually had a park over here named after him because of Guts Frisbee. Dwayne Silva.
Wait, whoa. They named the park after a Guts Frisbee player?
They named a park after him, and it's right on the corner where the blinking signal is. Unfortunately, a business was very successful, Calumet Electronics, and so the park, it's probably only 200 feet by 100 feet now, so it really doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
They did name it after him for
That's
everything
amazing.
that he did. Promoter, sportsman, and really made things excited, and you wanted to be on his team, multiple shots, and a scrambler. Steve Buckley played for Cupola, played for Blame the Dog. He was one of the first people to really be known as a great end man. So when someone is shot and the disc is hit, he's usually on the end and he is running back as fast as possible, diving and helping out his teammate by catching. So he is a great person to have on your team. John Sappington, the first president of the GPA, promoter, University of Michigan, and some of the early days of that sport, of our sport. John has helped grow the sport from day one. Bill Brock DePietro, the competition. There used to be Queen City was the dominant team in Marquette Guts, and then he played for the Bad Apples, and they were Bad Apples, and they played with high intensity. And you talk about trash talking, their team was one of the best at that too. Tommy Matuzak. Tommy Matuzak, the best story I can tell about him is when he was playing in a tournament and it was a challenge to get in the heads of the competitor, he actually took one of our pins for the tournament and stuck it through his nipple and played in the tournament with that. So you talk about guts. Tommy Matuzak has guts. Say no more about that.
No, you know, I could count the number of players in the disc golf pro tour that have put safety pins through their nipples before the pro tour event on two hands. It's less than 10. I don't want to say what the number is, but less than 10 DGPT players have done it.
I didn't know it was a thing.
No, it was less than 10.
That's funny. And he also had just a wicked thumber. And when you talk about a thumber, he's a left-hander, and he would throw it, and it would have an angle on it like this. And if the wind's coming across like this, it would move over 3 people. So you couldn't be sleeping on the line when Tommy Matuzak is throwing the disc, because believe it or not, you think he's shooting this guy. It may come at you, and you don't want to have a Tartuffe in the face. Al Bowman, Motor City, helped out with the GPA, but had an awesome rising forehand and was dominant back in his day.
Now, I'm going to interrupt for a second. I'm going to talk about Frisbee terminology because, may I?
Absolutely.
So all you disc golfers out there know of a shot called the thumber. It's basically an overhand throw that's the opposite of the tomahawk. You put the thumb inside the rim and you throw an overhand and it pans this direction. Okay, well, this is not technically a thumber. This is called a hook thumb because the thumber is a shot thrown like this, thrown with a sidearm delivery, because in the early days of Frisbee, it had not yet been determined whether the thumber or the sidearm was the most effective way of putting clockwise spin. Actually, the overhand wrist flip was also used in trying to put counterclockwise spin for right-handed players. The sidearm eventually won out, obviously, but this is a thumber. This is a hook thumb. It got nicknamed the thumber, and now it's kind of taken over. But when he says thumber, he's talking about this throw right here. And in guts, not only does the thumber, because you're going to see some this weekend if you follow me on Facebook or YouTube, when they throw the thumber, it doesn't just fly like a sidearm. The nose comes down and the disc goes and it moves. So it comes at you, and right as it's about to hit you here, it hits you there. And it's a hell of a shot, and I'm looking forward to catching all of them.
And to your point, one important rule that we have to share is if you threw a disc like this, when it crosses the line, it has to be up to but not including vertical, top side of the disc up to and not including vertical, but it can't cross the line upside down. So that's a really important rule. Otherwise, they will call you for a vertical shot.
Yep.
Some people that we both know really well and played for the Foothill team is Al Bonapane. You just talked to him recently. You want to speak to him?
No, Albie's been a friend of mine from way back. I know him more from Double Discord, but you guys might know, may I borrow this again? For the Bonapane grip. This is a grip where you put the thumb on the disc and you put the finger on top of it. Again, in the early days of disc sports or disc golf, it had not yet been determined if this, in fact, was the best way to throw a golf disc. There are some notable players that still throw this way. I believe Harold Duval, one of the founders of Innova, throws this way. My coach, Joe Racino, throws this way. Now, I have a story about the Bonapane grip that I don't know if this is true. If you're a guts player, especially from the UP, you can put it in the comments if I got it wrong. So take it with a grain of salt. But I heard that Al Bonapane invented this grip, and he came to the IFT and he threw it at the IFT. And everybody up in the UP said, oh my God, that's really good because it also puts the nose down and gives you a little bit more movement. Then I heard when Albie came back the following year, there were people throwing this. And they said, yeah, it's this great thing. It's called the UP grip. And Albie says, no, it's kind of not. And I heard that there was a little bit of heated debate over who invented it. And eventually the sport kind of acknowledged Al Bonapane and started calling it the Bonapane grip, which caught on in disc golf, but now in guts, it's now referred to as
California.
The California grip. So I don't know. I'm not trying to be a guts historian, so I could be wrong on all accounts. This is just a little bird told me these stories, but that's the story I heard about the Al Bonapane grip.
Scott, you're spot on. We do refer to it in the Midwest as the California grip, and we do acknowledge that it was in fact Al that created that.
Okay, interesting. Good. Well, I got my story right. Who would have thought that somebody would tell a story on the internet that actually turned out to be true? I'm the first. Okay, go on.
Very good. And then Tom Cleaworth, great defensive player, and came up with the Highland Avenue Ace team to defend the title. Very competitive. Dave Meyer, he not only played with Cupola Bandits, but he played on the Chicago team I played on, which is the Mental Toss Fly Coons. Very fast turnaround backhand, good all-around player. He also helped promote the Chicago Indoor Guts tournaments, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. These two I must speak to together. They're best friends. Danny Thornton and Dennis Wallakainen. Again, he's the one who allowed this museum to happen. So big thank you to Wally. Danny Thornton has the record for, and I don't know the number right now, but I think this will be his 53rd or 54th IFT. The guy is known for guts. When you meet people, you know Danny Thornton. And certainly Wally, back in the library bar days, and there was his dad's bar, Paul's bar, and then there's a library bar, and those teams were competitive. It was back in the day when, they would be just ferocious and screaming, and some of it was friendly sportsmanship, but it wasn't, but highly competitive. And Wally was one of the teams that really competed against library bar. We have 5 other inductees a year ago, and as part of the transition, the company that was making the plaques were only able to make 2 for Wally, so we do have 5 other people to honor. One of them that we're very, very pleased that, this is a Guts Hall of Fame, but it's an International Frisbee Hall of Fame. And Fumio Muroka, he has helped disc sports in so many, many ways. He is also instrumental when they had the Japanese Olympic. He was on the Japanese Olympic Committee that brought the Olympics to Japan. He has done so many things for growing all disc sports in Japan. And so he's very deserving of being in our Hall of Fame. Art McGuff played with Toledo Joe on the lightweights team. I also won an IFT with him, and a strong competitor defensively, offensively, just a fantastic, high-skilled, high-caliber person. There's 3 people I need to remember to advise. So one is Mark Berry of the Queen City Flyers, and had multiple shots, won the World Championship, WIFDF Championships over in Japan. And trying to think, the other people would be Dan Beckman, who was the captain of Queen City. Also, he's played guts for many years and led them to many championships. And there's one other person that I'll get back to you on.
All right. And by the way, this is a perfect opportunity for content. So we will make a very special reel dedicated to that one person. So only one person is going to get their own Hall of Fame reel. And we'll be coming back to that.
What do you know? I remembered. It is Irv Kelp.
Irv Kelp, you don't get your special reel.
So
it's the way the guts disc rolls.
So who is Irv Kelb? Irv Kelb is connected with Stork, all things ultimate. Irv Kelb won many championships at Rutgers University, has written books on ultimate, has taught people ultimate, and really allowed that sport to grow. So I'm glad I remembered Irv.
All right, you guys. So as we were walking by, you saw a whole bunch of things on the wall, and you're going to need to come to the IFT to explore that yourself, because every single thing here has a story. And if you're at the tournament, the people that have been around the sport would be happy to come here and tell you those stories. But we got to get out to, we're going to go to hallowed ground. We're going to be heading to
Eagle Harbor Ball Yard,
which is where it started. And we're going to be showing off the IFT trophy that hopefully my name's going to be on in about 4 days. And we'll be telling the story of that. But Brownie, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. This is officially the last time I'm shaking your hand between now and Sunday. I hope you understand.
Shoot me.
Shoot me back. All right, you guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Remember, if you're interested in guts, go to USA or contact USA Guts. Follow this entire adventure for the IFT on my Facebook page and YouTube channel. But just give some other sports a shot. There's more to flying disc sports than just disc golf and ultimate. All right, thanks everyone.